Good morning, children. This is class 9th physics, chapter number 10, gravitation. So, let's go with some examples of gravitation first. In figure number 1, you can see that the apple is falling from the tree and the apple always falls towards the earth. Why? Because of the force of attraction by the earth on the apple. Earth attracts the apple towards it by the force which is known as the gravitational force. Right? Next, rain, we know the water during the rain, it falls from the sky to the earth. That is also due to the gravitational force of attraction by the earth on the rainwater. Similarly, it is due to the gravitational force that the water flows down the river. The water flows down the river due to the gravitational force. So let's see what is this gravitational force, or how can we define gravitational force. So now this is clear that gravitational force is the force of attraction which is exerted by earth. जो कौन लगाता है? Earth लगाता है on all the objects, right? And by this force, the earth pulls the object towards its center. It pulls the object towards itself. Earth अपनी तरफ खींचती है objects को. उस force को हम बोलेंगे बेटा gravitational force of earth, or we can also say as gravity. So let's read out the definition of gravitational force, which says that the earth attracts all objects towards its center, right? Towards its center. The force with which the earth pull all the objects towards its center, that force is known as the gravitational force of earth, or we can also call it as gravity, right? So it is because of gravitational force of earth that if we throw any object, suppose we throw a ball in the sky, right? So what happens after covering a distance in the vertically upward direction? The ball will go up, and finally after covering some distance, the ball is again going to fall towards the earth because of the gravity, because of the gravitational force. Similarly, if you throw a ball from your terrace, then the ball falls towards the earth, it falls towards the ground, it falls down. That is because of gravitational force of earth. So gravitational force of earth is the force with which the earth attracts objects towards its center is known as your gravity. So I hope the definition for gravitational force is clear. It is the force by which the earth is going to attract the objects towards its center is called the gravitational force of earth, or it is known as gravity. Now, this is your NCERT, page number 131. We are having an activity. This is your activity 10.1. So in this activity, what you have to do, children? You have to take a thread, and this we might have done, we had done, right? What you have to do is you have to take a thread. आपको एक धागा लेना है, and at the one end of the thread, you are going to tie a stone. यहाँ पे देखो बेटा stone है, right? It is tied. Then what you are going to do? You are going to hold the other end of the thread, and then you are going to whirl it. Means you are going to move it round. Right? So when you are moving round and round, you have to notice the motion of the stone. So we know that the stone which is tied with the thread is going to perform circular motion. It is going to perform circular motion. वो circular path cover करेगा, right? It is going to move on the circular path. Now children, if we leave the thread, suppose I leave the thread at this point, At this point, suppose we leave the thread. Right, children? Then in which direction the stone will fly? In which direction the stone will move? This also you have to note when you're going to do this activity. Right, children? Now, children, be careful over here that the stone that is moving, suppose it is moving with constant speed. आप उसे constant speed के साथ move कर रहे हो. Right, children? You are moving it with a constant speed. But at each and every point of the circle, children, the direction is changing ना. यहाँ पे ये जो ball है उसका direction straight है, but आपने उसे अंदर की तरफ divert कर लिया. So when the object is moving on a circular path, at each and every point, its direction changes. Right, direction is changing. Speed is constant. So what about the velocity then? Velocity, we know it is speed plus direction. Now speed is constant, that we are telling, okay, fine, speed is constant. But children, direction is changing now because it is on circular path. So direction changes. Right, children? So as the direction changes, we know velocity is a vector quantity. Speed plus direction. So if direction is changing, there is change in velocity. Means change in velocity means there is acceleration. वहाँ पे acceleration involved है, because we know acceleration is rate of change of velocity. Now velocity is changing. Why? Because direction is changing. So there is some acceleration involved. Acceleration है बेटा means there is some force. अब कौन सा force है ये? Which force is acting? The force that is acting is the centripetal force. It is the centripetal force that keeps the stone move on a circular path, that does not allow the stone to leave the circular path and to go. Which force? It is the centripetal force. Okay, so because of centripetal force only, children, the moon, because of centripetal force, the moon, it revolves around the earth. It does not leave the earth and it does not go away. Right, children? So as there is change in direction, there is change in velocity, means acceleration हुआ, right? So ये acceleration किसकी वजह से हुआ? Obviously because of some force. So the force that causes this acceleration and keeps the body moving on a circular path, और उसको circle पे move करवा रहा है, right? And is acting towards the center. This force is called the centripetal force. अगर suppose children this centripetal force disappears, right? If this centripetal force disappears, then what will happen? So that's what I was telling you, that suppose you leave the stone at this point, then what will happen? In which direction the stone will go? The stone is going to move in this direction. Suppose you leave the stone at this point, then it will go straight in this direction. And if you leave the stone at this point, then it is going to go in this direction, right? So what is the direction? The direction is tangential. Tangential मतलब आपको tangent पता है बेटा. You have done in maths. Tangent is what? Tangent is a line that is at 90 degree. Tangent is the line that is at 90 degree to the radius of the circle. That is at 90 degree to the radius of the circle. So this and here the angle is 90 degree. So if you leave the stone at this point, then it will fly tangentially. Tangent के direction में बेटा वो fly करेगा. इस point पे अगर आपका stone जाता है तो यहाँ पे हमें एक tangent draw करना है और ये radius हो गया, and the angle between the tangent and the radius of the circle is 90 degree. So इसीलिए बेटा moon जो है, it does not leave the earth and it does not go. Why? Because of which force? Because of centripetal force. Centripetal force, it acts towards the center and it keeps the object moving in a circular path. वो ऑब्जेक्ट को सर्कल पे मूव करवाता रहेगा. Right, children? So this is your definition for centripetal force. That is the force that is acting towards the center of the circular path. जो circular path को cover कर रहा है उसके center की तरफ ये force लगता है, because we know force is a vector quantity. We require direction, right? And it causes acceleration. ठीक है, acceleration हो रहा है, भले speed constant है, but your direction is changing, right? And it keeps the object move on the circular path, and the object is on continuously on the circular path because of which force? Because of centripetal force. Once the centripetal force disappear, the object no longer move on the circular path, right? Let's see some examples of centripetal force where in this universe the centripetal force is acting. The centripetal force is acting in the motion of the moon around the earth. We know moon revolves around the earth, right, children? And it is continuously moving on the circular path around the earth, right? It is not leaving and going away. No. Why? Because there is some force with which the earth is keeping the moon move around it, right, on a circular path, and that force is your centripetal force, right? Next is, children, let's see the next example of centripetal force. The centripetal force who provides? Earth provides, right? And if there is no centripetal force, then what will happen? Oh God, if there is, children, no centripetal force, then this is your earth, this is your moon, then the moon is going to go away tangentially. Means once it will leave, it is never going to meet earth again, right? In which direction it will go? In the direction of tangent to the circle. Tangent to the circle. Tangent is a line which touches the circle at only one point. जिस point पे आपका object leave कर रहा है, at that point it touches the circle, plus the angle between the radius of the circle and the tangent is 90 degrees. Right, children? So this is your centripetal force. So centripetal force is the force that acts towards the center of the circular path and it causes acceleration. It causes acceleration. Right, children? Okay. Now, children, next topic is, we have seen many times the leaves, the fruits falling from the tree, right? Now, we have seen that when the leaves and the fruits, when they fall from the tree, they fall on the earth. And now we know that is due to the gravitational force. Gravitational force is the force which is exerted by the earth, right? It is a force of attraction by the earth on all other objects. But children, force, apple is attracted, fine, but is the earth also attracted by the apple? क्या earth भी apple को attract करती है? If so, have any one of us seen the earth moving towards the apple? No, we have never seen the earth moving towards the apple. Why? So children, here is the reason for that. Let's try to understand. According to Newton's third law of motion, we know action and reaction are equal and opposite. Right, children? So, we know that the apple attracts earth, but with the same force, because action and reaction, they are equal and opposite. With the same force, the apple is also going to attract earth and earth is also going to attract apple. Force is same. If force is same, then why earth is not moving? Only apple we can see falling down. Why? Let's see. Here comes the Newton's second law. Now, children, we all remember Newton's second law was F equals to ma. F equals to ma, that is ma. We know this, right? Now, if in this equation F equals to ma, if I make A subject of formula, then can I write A equals to F upon m, right? Now, force is same. Apple जो force earth पे लगा रहा है and the force exerted by earth on apple is same. दोनों एक दूसरे पे equal force लगा रहे हैं. So this is constant. Force is constant. Right, children? Force is constant. Then what is different, children? Mass is different. Yes, acceleration means change in velocity. Now let's focus on this part now. A is inversely proportional to mass. Means if beta mass is less, mass agar kam hua, then beta acceleration will be more. Acceleration is change in velocity. Fataak se velocity change hogi. And if mass is greater, mass bahut zyada hai, then the acceleration means the change in velocity will be very less. Now let's compare the mass of apple and the earth. Now mass of apple is very less as compared to the mass of earth. So as the mass of the apple is very less, the acceleration that is produced in the apple, the change in velocity of the apple is very high. So we can see that apple which was initially at rest, जो कि ट्री पे वेलोसिटी 0 थी, उसे हम गिरते हुए देखते हैं, उसकी वेलोसिटी दिखती है, अरे वाह बड़ी स्पीड से गिरा, राइट? Yes, but the mass of the earth is very large as compared to the mass of the apple. So as the mass of the earth is very high as compared to the mass of the apple, so mass of the earth is high, so acceleration of the earth is very low. Very low means it is nearly 0. So we do not see the earth falling towards the apple because its mass is very high as compared to the mass of the apple, and so its acceleration is less, that is, it is nearly 0. But as the mass of the apple is less, its acceleration is high, and we see the apple falling towards the earth. But the force exerted by both apple on earth and by earth on apple is same. Excellent. So here is your answer to that question. According to Newton's second law, for a given force, means if force is constant, then acceleration is inversely proportional to mass. Acceleration and mass are inversely proportional. So as the mass of the apple is negligible as compared to that of earth, mass of apple is very small as compared to earth. So we do not see the earth moving towards the apple. Rather, we see the apple moving towards the earth. Okay, so this is your universal law of gravitation. This was given by Newton, right? So it is also known as Newton's law of gravity. Newton's law of gravitation, right? It is called universal because we can apply this law anywhere in the universe. It is true on earth, it is true on moon, it is true everywhere in the space, everywhere in the universe. And so it is known as the universal law. We can apply it to small objects, big objects, celestial objects. Celestial objects are the objects which are in the space. Terrestrial objects are the objects which are on the ground, which are on the earth, right, children? So let's see, what does the law state? Kya law tha, right? After According to the universal law of gravitation, this is very, very important, children. This is a must question, right? What does the law say? The law says that every object in the universe attracts every other object. Means any object in the universe is going to attract all other objects, right? So for example, if I am having over here, this is suppose this is Mukul is here, and this is Ashish, right? These are the two persons on the planet Earth, right? Now, Mukul and Ashish, these two bodies, they are going to attract each other, right? They are going to attract each other. Then you will say, ma'am, but we do not see Mukul and Ashish attracted like magnets, because the force of attraction between Mukul and Ashish is not that strong, right? You are sitting on your chair, right? There is force of attraction between chair and you. There is force of attraction between the fan, the ceiling fan, and you. There is force of attraction between any objects. It might be your table and chair. So every object in the universe, it is going to attract every other object in the universe, right? There is a force of attraction between all the objects, right? Now, force of attraction hai, but kitna force hai? We do not see them sticking like magnets, right, children? So kitna force hai? Force kitna hai? Force hai that is directly proportional to the product of their masses. कितना force है जो depend करता है उनके mass के product पे, and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. At what distance they are kept? So inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Okay, so if I want to write it this in form of equation, I can write like force जो है बेटा वो proportional है product of the masses. Suppose object 1 table का mass m1 है, chair का mass m2 है, तो force कितना लगेगा? Product मतलब multiplication. So m1 into m2, ठीक है? m1 into m2 and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Inversely आपने मैथ्स में किया हुआ है बेटा. Inversely is बेटा upon, right? Square of distance. Suppose the distance between these two objects is, suppose it is d. इन दोनों के बीच का distance suppose d है. तो स्क्वायर ऑफ डी अपॉन स्क्वायर ऑफ डी मीन्स बेटा इतना फोर्स लगेगा. ये कैलकुलेशन आप कर सकते हो. मास m1 की वैल्यू डाल दो, टेबल का मास, चेयर का मास इन केजी and distance between them the square, and if you calculate you will be getting this is the amount of force. So this is proportional sign. Okay beta, so ये है उसका magnitude कि इतना force लगेगा. Now we know force is a vector quantity, so we require direction. So इसका direction क्या होगा मैम? ठीक है, force इतना लगेगा, we will calculate, fine, but what is the direction? So its direction is along the line joining the center of the two bodies. So its direction is along the line joining the center of the two bodies. Suppose this is my body 1, this is my body 2. Suppose this is earth and this is moon, right? Suppose the distance between them is d. Suppose the distance between them is d, right? So इसके बीच में ये जो force लग रहा है इसका direction क्या है? उसका direction है along the line joining the center of the two bodies, center of the moon, center of the earth, center of the table, center of the chair, right beta? So what does universal law of gravitation states that? First thing, it states that every object in the universe attracts every other object with the force. ठीक है, attract करता है. With how much force? Which is directly proportional to the product of their mass. Directly mass को proportional है, product of the masses, and inversely proportional to the square of distance between them. Okay, itna force लगता है. This is the magnitude of the force. Fine. Then what is the direction? Direction is along the line joining the center of the two bodies. The line is along the center of the two bodies. So children, this is your statement for universal law of gravitation. We will continue, and in the next class we will start with the derivation for this. Okay children?